Okay, my friends, Roger, Mudfossil University. What do you see here? Well, you see a meteorite here that NASA says is a meteorite. And guess what you see here? A bone. That's the head of a bone. This is mud fossils. You see the two holes here that don't have any blood in them? You see the two holes here that have blood in them? You see this blistering and the scorching on the outside? That is nothing more than the fabric of what they call interstitium now, and it's the coating of bones and organs and everything. It's a rubbery coating, and when it burns, it does that, just as this little lung did coming through space. And I will show you this in a microscope. There's still blood in here, and there's still blood in there. That is blood, and it was in this too. But in the terrestrial bone, the red blood leaks into the moisture that it was in the mud. Red blood just blows right out. The black blood, which is the blue blood in us, is the vein blood. That does not leak out. That turns hard and black. Now, this is also an asteroid, a meteorite. And this is biological too. And this is all red blood. And I have this, I've looked at it in a microscope. I know what it is blood. And this is a biological fingertip. And this is a terrestrial one of the exact same finger type. You see this little hook right here? You see that little hook right there? You see the blood vessels right here? These are the vein ones, I told you. They don't blow out. Same thing here. This is the vein side. You really can't see it all that well. It's just blistered off everything else. All right, you see this? You see all of the detail. Look at it exactly. You see where the red blood side was? That's the red blood side. It leaks right out. In this one it exploded because this one came through space, still having the blood in it in a wet condition, just like this one. That blood just leaked, burnt right off out of here. The red blood does not burn the way the black blood does. The black blood has less oxygen. It's Fe2O2. This is Fe2O3, and it has extra oxygen, and it smelts differently. Anyway, this is what happened here. This fingertip exploded. This one just leaked out and petrified in the mud fossil process. That's just what happens. Now, we're going to look at these in a microscope. I'm going to show you the tissue that coats all the bones. Now, if I could see the other side of this bone, I guarantee you it has some architecture very similar to this. No question whatsoever, and I can guarantee you that these molecules and the atomic nature of this matter is the same as this if I cook this. And the same with this. I will show you the tissue of this and the layers and the fabric, and the same as that has fabric, and the same as this has fabric, and the same as that has fabric. And this has fabric, only it's all burnt off the fabric down to where you're going to see some little bits and pieces of fibers in here. This is a little bit wet. Got it wet, but you'll be able to see the blood in here. You'll see the coating. Here, let me show you a lung. Hold on. Here it is. This lung is on a terrestrial lung. It was from a creature that was drowned in, I believe, in a great flood, the Great Flood, and that's why everything is flat on one side of the terrestrial stuff. Same thing with this. These were in the flood. And what happened is they just leaked in. Now, this is pleura on the lung, extremely dense fabric. However, that fabric is virtually identical to this, only in your lung it has to really, it's rubbery. And this is what's being attacked by the COVID. And that's why your blood vessels and everything, they're breaking because they can't take the pulsation continuously like they do when it's rubbery. It's attacking the collagen. It's a whole nother issue, but we'll be able to see all this. We'll be able to see all this. There's nothing here that's hidden. And that came out of space. And everything that's coming out of space in Comet 67P, I'm going to show you right now. I studied it from the day they started the mission. And I have as much information on that as the people that did the mission. I'll show you. All right. I discovered mud fossils. I've been doing this longer than anybody. I know what I'm talking about. This all turned to stone. This is a goose's head, apparently. I think it's a goose. But anyway, at any rate, they all died in what I think was the Great Flood. That died laying like that. The neck is here, and it just snapped off after they turned to stone. And the reason they turned to stone is something called nucleophilic substitution. I have all of this, and we'll be going through all of this. These creatures were here. There was dragons here with dragon scales. There was gigantic humans here. This is the tiny one, and this one came through space. That's a meteorite. That came through space, and that blood exploded. This one was on the Earth. It didn't explode. I cannot explain these things. That's why they need to be investigated. This is, I followed this, and wait till you see the research I did. This is 4.3 kilometers, 67P they call it. They sent a lander down, a Philae lander. It's a Rosetta mission. It sniffed the chemicals. I have I have every bit of the information they have from that, as much as anyone. And if I don't, show me something I don't have. All right, now this goes back to 2015. December 23rd, 2015, and this is what I wrote about Comet 67P. They had already had Rosetta up there. 67P is being visited by a lander now and has every signature of biological origin. Scans by Rosetta's Virtus instrument, which is short for Visible Infrared and Thermal Imaging Spectrometer, hasn't found any ice on the surface of 67P. Instead, a team led by Fabrizio Caperezzini, INAF, Italy, reports that the dark exterior is covered with complex carbon-rich organic molecules. That is from biological origin, life cooking in the sunshine. And that's what creates all these little, depends on the angle of the blood vessel. Some of them go this way, some of them go that way, some of them go this way. Because the sunlight's hitting it, cooking it. And I'm going to show you this. There's blood in this. This is from space, and this is a lung. Now, 67P is different. It's a tendon enthesis. Anyway, the gases in the coma are meat smoke according to CDC guidelines. I looked at the chemistry. I have it all. This is the smoking gun, Comet 67P chemistry. 16 organic compounds were identified, divided into 6 classes of organic molecules: alcohols, carbonyls, amines, nitrites, amides, isocyanate. Of these, 4 organic compounds were detected for the first time on a comet: methyl isocyanate, and these different chemistry. It's proven 100% organic. It is now proven 100%. It's nothing like they thought. Oh yeah, where's the proof? Nobody cares about anything. Where's the paper? Who's got a paper on it? Well, I don't need a paper. Watch this. This is Comet 67P from the Rosetta mission, where they went out to explore this comet with a robot. And they landed on the comet, and they're looking at the comet. Before that, they circled it a bunch of times. Now, what I want you to look at is, here's the structure. It has this neck, it has a bulbous head, and it has this spiky little bulbous thing on the other end. Now, they're trying to figure out what this is all about. Now, all right, what I want you to look at is these structures right here. You see these little things here? Now, those are not structures of craters or something like that. Those are the patterns of life. And this, I believe, you see this, and then this, and let me show you something. That's bundles of muscle. These are the tendon fibrils. I show this in great detail. This is Comet 67P. This is nothing that can't be denied. And I have it here in my shop. So here I go out way out here showing it again. There's the bundle of muscle. These are the muscle little pinchers, and that's the fibers that run off as the tendon from this anchor, which is the ball. And here's what in my shop. I have the same stuff. There's the bundles of muscles. Here's the tendon right here. Those are the tendons. They glue right in, just exactly identical as Comet 67P. And these things are gigantic on Earth. These are the same ones that are at Baalbek. And all they did was break them off. They have a little tiny gap in between every one of them. They're little squares, and right down the center of each one of these there'll be a little bit of blood going in. If you look at the pregnant lady stone, they're identical. There's no difference whatsoever. And this is a gluey substance that glues this to the muscle. The muscle comes down and wraps right around. I show all this in exquisite, magnificent detail, if I don't say so myself. Now, this is the tendons. The tendons glue to muscle, and that's the muscle, and it actually literally wraps. Let's see if I can demonstrate that here. From the tendons, we have to make a transition into the muscle. And here comes the muscle. Isn't see it wrapping right around? And so you have another sort of
see that?
And here comes the muscle fiber. The black and the white, or it's brown and white, or whatever color it is, but that's muscle fiber. Now, I'm going to home in on this a little better if I can. Now, you still... All right, there's no sense going any further with that, but if you go out through the muscle, you'll see they have these abrupt transitions, and then all of those little holes are blood vessels. Now, here's 67P. There's the tendon enthesis. There's where I showed you where the muscles and the bundles come up. I did a lot of work on this, trust me. I know what I'm talking about here. Now, as we come out, let me find a good shot. All right, I have this exact same thing in my shop, and I'll be pointing to it here in a second. Here it is. This is this 67P. Now, there's well, here, let me just let it run. I just showed you what you have there. Now, let me get this down carefully so this can be seen. See it right there? That is that flat spot. Now, as I rotate it down, you see these, oops, I can't, let me just do this with my finger. You can see these are the identical same structures coming down. If you look over here, well, as a matter of fact, you can see there's another. There's no sense to go any further. You see it? This is this. Same thing. And it has these little things going down to a ball. And the ball, well, here's the thing right here. Hold on. Oh, here's right here. And this is the one that came through space. There's the ball. It's exactly like 67P. And there's the neck coming up, which would attach to a strap. It's the same thing. So it's time to take this into account, and let's pay a little more attention to what we really have here on Earth. Because the things that are on Earth came from space, or maybe not. Maybe they were just here. Go deep into this. Now watch. Remember the thing that's up on 67P, I think it is. I'm going to try to go inside here. They call them Dragon Balls. You see this? This is what's burning out of 67P. Down inside every one of these holes is blood. There's blood. That's from this. All right, there's blood down there, and it cooks when the sun hits it just the right way, and that's when they shoot out the comas. That isn't dust. And I have the spectral analysis on it. Let's take a look at this in the microscope, and you're going to see where the blood is. And then you're going to see, remember I showed you, hold on. This is also a lung. You see that red spot there? Very, very red. Let me back this up. All right, that's where all the blood collects. And this one has the same thing. Right there is where the blood is in this one. Well, there's blood everywhere, but you see that really dense red spot? Same thing as it has there. And then it has a bunch of little alveoli holes. Now, here I have another lung here somewhere. Hold on. Here it is. This one is a terrestrial lung. You see, but it's the same sort of thing. It has all those holes in there. Those are what they call the alveoli. That's where you breathe, and all the air goes in there, and it transfers the oxygen to your blood through iron, which is red. Iron oxide, red iron oxide. Let's look at it in a microscope. All right, this is basically just what happens when a rock comes through space. that happens to be a lung when it started full of blood. And the blood just boils out of there. These little white fabrics are, that is the fabric that coats the collagen and keratin. All this stuff now can be tested. At one point they said, oh, this is impossible. I was the first one in the world to have ancient human DNA tested, and it came back human. Now, I don't know what this will come back. Maybe it's chipmunk. I have no idea. But I can tell you what, it's a lung of some kind of a creature that was breathing oxygen or some gas. Now, there's that red spot I talked about. They always have one. And that, you know what that is? That is what they call the Interstitium Flap. And let me show you one. I have another one here that's from a piece of meat. You see this piece of meat? Well, you probably can't see it. See that piece of meat? That has a flap right on there. Same as the other one, because they're all tied together. You see that flap? I don't know if you can or not. But the fascia, which is the coating on the lung, it has to tie the lung into you somewhere. And that's what they do with these little flaps. I have a whole batch of pictures of these in other specimens. Let's see. See the flap right there? That's the flap right there. That was a piece of meat at one time. And now it's obviously a rock. But that's what happens to them. And it's called nucleophilic invasion. And here is the process. Let me... it requires a little bit of schooling about this, but it's transition metals that normally move through your body and give and take. That's their job. They're in the middle of the periodic chart. They can take electrons and give electrons. That means they can bond and rebond and go to your liver and give up all the toxins, go to your lungs, give up all the carbon dioxide, and take on oxygen. They just keep moving around. When you die, they're still there, so they want to find somebody to attach to. They find the most convenient person to or molecule to attach to, and then they stabilize, and some of them get like crazy looking colors, you see? It depends on where it was, but these are all transition colors from metals. When you see all these different colors, and if I put water on this, they come out really brilliant colors. Anyway, we got some learning to do. Okay, I guess I'll just leave it at that. Next week I'm going to be doing the no-toes, which I discovered years ago. That is actually where the bone sits, which would be in us, the tibia. And the fibia is here, and they just fall right off. It is basically the same as our feet, similar, but inside here, you see these little curves? Those are springs. There's springs in here instead of tendons. Now, Tish has these here, and she's going to be sending them to me shortly. Now, this one here I just showed you, that's mine. I have a bunch of other ones, but she's got them that are eroded to a condition where you can literally see the springs. And I've done a lot of detailed research on this over the internet with her, but she's sending me actually the physical specimens. And you can see the strap in the back and the heel bone, same as we have, only we don't have this. And the toes are built into the structure of the foot. The same with, she's got a whole batch of them that are eroded in this manner, but they would have been completely encased similar to this. And then they have like a couple of, this is totally different than our feet. Once you get past inside, once you get inside, once you enter, you got an issue, man. Okay, so I guess that's all we got to say about this until we get into this next week. But there's so much we have to do. I'm calling for a new school, Rogers Research Institute. How's that? That's what I was thinking about. Rogers Research Institute, where it's research and it's learning. It's not just, you know, you read these books and then you're going to be smart, because you're not. I guarantee you. And everyone you see now on TV that's supposed to be an expert, behind them you'll see 1,000 books. That means they just read a bunch of stuff that's absolutely meaningless at this point, because they never started from a meaningful word. They have no clue about this stuff. They don't have no clue about the universe and space and electrons and photons and all the particles, all the things that I'm showing. Once I found out there was no interest in reality, I found out there was no interest in reality from anyone. So it's time to start our own reality, which is going to be the true reality. All right? Somebody's got to step up and step forward that has a good head on his shoulders, that is just a good administrator, that can get this broadly viewed. And then it goes from wherever it goes. Truth will rise to the top if it's allowed. When it's not allowed and you're destroyed, and they will take your job away from you and make everyone hate you when you come forward with this kind of information. And trust me, everyone will hate you. Now I think it's starting to become a little more accepted, but I'm telling you right now, it's been 10 years and I haven't had a whole lot of Christmas cards. Anyway, I love you all. Good luck.